Hey, it's Fort Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
Welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
Sex.
And today we're going to discuss men who cannot make a decision.
Will not
Will not or
Man.
cannot. And this is something that I had heard over the years. You know, that's my ex-husband. We've been going through a divorce for 2 years. He can't make a decision.
Yeah.
And then I'd hear it and go, well, I could kind of see that he's like, you know, probably balancing out money or something, you know.
Yeah.
But
giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm starting to think back further and further, and I'm like, more and more of these girls would say, yeah, we had to break. She goes, he could not make a decision. I'm thinking, well, maybe he didn't want to get married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, about a week ago, just offhandedly, I put out a question called the thought experiment.
THOT.
THOT. Weight versus notch count. I wanted to give guys two bad options.
Yeah.
And then see if they could make a decision between two. And it had nothing to do with decision making. It was more like weight versus notch count.
Yeah.
Because, you know, guys want a slim girl with low notch count. But what if you can't have that? You got to balance, which is more important. Is really.
Right.
So I said, same two girls for a long-term relationship. There's only two differences. Girl number one is 105 pounds, but she's been with 75 men before you.
Ooh.
Girl number two is 220 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of loving, but she's only been with one man before you.
Right.
Which one would you pick? Because I know guys, I said, no equivocation. No substitutions, no but ifs. Choose one and why. 50% of the guys
Easily
took the time to let me know they would choose neither. They couldn't make a choice.
Yeah.
They literally refused to make a decision.
Exactly.
But would let me know they refused to make it, as opposed to scrolling by and going, oh, yeah, I wouldn't be able
That's
to do that.
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got everything in here. There's a lot of equivocation. There's a lot of guys that go, well, one would be for, the 105 would be for a fling, you know, and then I would settle down with the girl. Then she could lose weight. I'm like, that defeats the entire purpose of the mental exercise.
There were a lot of guys who were like,
I can always
take her to the gym.
There's
no, that's not the point.
That's equivocation. That's a but if,
well,
you know.
That's a big word, honey.
I know. But what really, and I brought it up to Bunny because I was like, I had ran this all day and I had a lot of answers. I was like, what is going on? That these guys, I mean, it's because I really want, what's more important to you? Weight or notch count?
Yeah.
You know, but you're going to still have some negatives there. What really is most important? Because it's easy if you just say 75 versus 1.
Right.
Or 220. So you have to like have some resistance or
I thought this was a brilliant question.
Yeah, or some, you know, resistance to this. But literally men would refuse or could not.
And when you asked me, I said, yeah, number one, men they can't make a decision. Number two, they can't stand to not have their opinion known. So they know enough that they want to be in the conversation.
Which is fair.
But they refuse to actually follow the rules. Follow the directions and just choose one or the other and why.
And I remember because I was sitting at the computer, Bunny was in the kitchen, she goes, men, they can't make a decision.
No.
And it came back to me like hearing girls say, my ex-husband cannot make a decision. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
This is different than I thought it was.
Right.
They literally will not make any decisions.
Right.
And I was like, that is a strange way to go through life.
I mean, truly, there's no effect either way of what you say on this, how you answer.
Yeah.
And yet they couldn't just say one or the other.
Nope.
And why?
Nope.
Or just one or the other.
It's like a mental exercise, and maybe there's something kind of like how people, like some people don't hear a running monologue and they can't see things in their mind.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a different way of thinking.
It's
But I found it fascinating.
It's fascinating, but it's also maddening.
It probably drives women crazy.
It drives women crazy. And this is how these men end up in relationships with women who end up carrying their balls around in their purse.
Right. And he's happy because he doesn't know any different.
Because he can't make a decision. They are on their way to church or whatever, and the decision has to be made. I mean, whatever it is. Like, I was going to say where they're going to have lunch after church. I mean, decisions have to be made, and men will wait until the last possible moment and then still defer the decision.
And get mad about it.
So it's better for her to just say, he won't make a decision anyway. It'll end up at the last minute, and then I'll have to make the decision to begin with. I'll just do it now.
These women know their guys.
Yeah.
They know.
And so, but then, then they lose respect for him.
Yeah.
And they get very tired of making decisions. And especially if they're also in a corporate world. I mean, you hear that a lot where women are like,
they just want to come home and
I
stop.
have to make decisions all day long. I don't want to have to make decisions at home too. I want my man to do his job. He's the decision maker at home, or he's supposed to be.
And I would imagine, since I was young, I've had to make decisions just by default. I either had a leadership position or in athletics, you tend to have to make a lot of decisions. And then as soon as I got into the military, you're making decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's normal. You know what I mean? But I can see where guys, let's say they're mechanically inclined, they have better, faculty for that.
Yeah.
And you go in and you work on an engine all day. You have to make decisions within a certain, but you're not running people.
Right.
I think that's where it gets weird, is when you're dealing with people in fluid situations that you don't have all the information.
And I think that, even like in the corporate world, these kinds of guys could be middle management, where maybe they're telling other people what to do, but they're really just they're just passing along the information that they're being told to do.
You're carrying it out.
Yeah. But there's not any actual...
How do we make this happen?
Yeah.
And that's funny because I've had a lot of guys that work for me as coaches.
Yeah.
And making things happen is not their strength.
Well,
carrying things out is.
Yeah.
But making a decision on how to make it happen, not their strength.
Think of how many times I can think of a couple of different coaches who have worked under you that you have wanted to promote into more of a managerial position, and they didn't want it.
They had no interest whatsoever.
Nope. Because they did not have that gear.
No. And they know.
Yeah.
They know. It stresses them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea.
And when you look at their personal relationships, you see it's being played out exactly like we're talking about here.
It's true. It's true. And I don't know where it comes from, because I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist,
Right.
But it's just a difference in men that's subtle but very significant. But like she said, girls adapt to their guys.
But the problem is, even if she adapts, eventually she tires of that. And a lot of women will end up wanting something where she doesn't have to. Girls don't like to have to be the bad guy.
Now, let's talk about the kids, because we covered this. Okay.
Yeah. So these guys who won't make a decision, they also won't discipline the children, because that's a decision. They, won't make a decision about what the kids are or are not doing. So she ends up having to do all of these things.
She's the bad guy.
She has to be the bad guy. She has to be the deciding factor. She has to be the one who's carrying out everything. He is literally just along for the ride. And these are the women who also really truly view their husbands as just another one of their kids, the biggest kid they have, in a not cute way.
Right.
Because no one wants to get railed by their biggest kid.
And she may very well have to buy his clothes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women that dress their husbands so he doesn't walk out.
There's a lot of all of these
cargo
things.
Shorts and a 30-year-old T-shirt.
All of it. It's just a bad position for a man to be in.
Yeah. There's probably not a lot of them listening to this podcast.
That's true. That's probably true.
But,
although we were very surprised.
Well,
that
I stand corrected.
I mean,
they're on our Twitter feed. Yeah,
that which surprised me a lot.
Yeah,
that surprised me a lot.
That's very interesting. I mean, because I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And again, but I am very bad, and I am guilty of thinking people think like I do.
Yeah.
And I know better. I've ran businesses. I've ran people, and
dealt with the general public.
I dealt with the general. God help me. I know, like, we're kind of like a niche. We're a very small group.
Yeah.
As we are. But I still project,
Sure.
that people are thinking like and they're not. They're not thinking like us at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of like everybody when COVID happened.
Yeah.
And we're like trying to run our business, which is they're trying to forcibly close it down.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, why don't you just stay home? Because we'll starve.
Yeah.
I
that's
mean,
not how it works.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
That's not how money works.
No. We're like,
figure.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, that was I think COVID was the first thing where people start going, oh, not everybody thinks like I do.
I agree.
On a large scale.
Yeah.
There's always been like Republicans and Democrats and all that.
Yeah.
But that's more of this two people that are the same.
Exactly. It's true.
They're more alike.
It was real. It was divisive.
Yeah. And it's shocking to see. I mean, we were like driving around.
Yeah.
We're like, where the fuck is everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And you realize how many people are just going along.
Yeah.
You know.
It's true.
It's
so
crazy.
If you're listening to this, and if you were a person who commented on one of these thought experiments that Fort Worth did, and you were one who gave equivocation, please know we're talking to you, because we want you to win. We want you to be the leader in your household, whether you have a household now or not. You may be a single guy and not be married and not be dating someone, and so this is off your radar. But know that the habits that you form now will carry into your life together and as your family man or whatnot.
And girls don't do well without people making decisions for them.
Girls need direction, 1,000%.
And you're the provider.
You're the provider of that direction.
They do way better with direction.
And when they do better, you do better.
Exactly.
We want everyone to win.
Everybody benefits.
And your kids. I mean, there's no downside to a man who's the leader of his own household.
Yeah.
None.
And that's the thing. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, was especially when you start making decisions, especially you know, in business, you don't have all the information you need. You're going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys can't handle making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But then you make so many wrong decisions, you realize it's really part of the process.
It's true.
God, you know, you will always make more wrong decisions than right.
And if you struggle to make decisions, the best way to start is to start saying no. That is absolutely the best way to do it. Say no to things. And then you can always circle back and change your mind or gather up more information and make a more informed decision. But if your initial answer is no, you're practicing making a decision. If your initial answer is yes to everything, then you're a pushover. It's not good.
So guys, if you like this podcast, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, share with your networks, share with your friends and family. And if you have had some experience with not being the greatest decision maker, but have turned it around, or you have suggestions for guys that are developing their leadership skills.
Or maybe your dad wasn't a great decision maker, or like you've seen this firsthand.
A lot of this is from what you've seen.
Yeah.
Comment below. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. We want you to win. Bye.